There's nothing worse than flipper, scalper-like businesses that pretend to be, useful businesses. So there's a difference between like a reseller that's legitimate and honest and decent, and a reseller that's just kind of screwing everyone over. They're screwing over the sellers, they're screwing over the buyers, they're screwing over the market in general. And everyone knows that, scalpers in the ticket space, like for concerts and stuff, have just completely blown that entire industry open in a bad way, like shrapnel everywhere, to the point that no one really anymore has a proper understanding of what the value of these tickets is, because you can't buy them at MSRP because then they get, bought up by bots or whatever. Now, online, you have these bot armies buying things up and reselling them. That's a bit of a different issue, but in the physical world, it's still there. It's just it shows up in a different form. It's not like bots roaming, the listings online, taking everything. Instead, it's usually somebody who is going around and essentially hollowing out other resellers and other avenues in their local area and effectively scalping the secondary market, to the point where, for example, let's say you're in a town, there might be a Value Village, there might be a Goodwill, a Salvation Army, and various other thrift stores that people go and donate stuff to. Now, the nature of the business of the thrift store is that they are essentially working on margin. They get donations, and then they curate those donations. They deal with, getting rid of some of the junk when it doesn't sell, and then they move it all around. And so they do provide a service, and both as a collection place to drop things off and also a place to go and buy. But because they get donations, oftentimes they're limited in what they have based on who is in their area donating to them. And if they get good donations, the store has a good supply of things. Now, regardless of whether some get good donations or bad donations, the pricing doesn't necessarily always reflect the quality of the goods. I've been to some thrift stores that had amazing quality stuff, right? Like nothing with rips or tears. Everything looks really good quality, even if it's used. But the prices will be even lower than, say, other thrift stores. Now, oftentimes, these are true church thrift stores to a certain degree. Like, they're not in it for profit, and they're not in it for fake profit either. Like a fake for-profit where you just keep siphoning off the money anyways, and the business kind of doesn't benefit at all. Through like, being an executive or having some stupid title or whatever and being paid a ridiculous salary for doing nothing. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about like real nonprofit, like good, honest, like charity shops. And those charity shops are not the problem. They are doing what they're supposed to do, and they're actually helping the market in a particular way. Yeah, don't back me in. What the fuck are you doing, dude? Are you back me in? Like, and then, but then there are these other shops that are completely for profit, but they don't work on like honest donations or anything because they're not a for-profit. So they don't get donations given to them. So they're out there buying up stuff either as a place where you can go in and you can sell to them directly, or you can do, for example, trades and other stuff. Now, the thing is, some of these shops are decent because they'll be honest. They will source the goods themselves directly at the store. The people that are, say, selling stuff will go to that store and will make a deal with the owner to sell the stuff. So they know their margins. They're able to make adjusted risk calculations as necessary. However, what ends up happening is there's another type of reseller that they don't just work out of their store. Instead, what they're doing is they tend to run to all the thrift shops and all the charity shops and all the places that get cheap donations. And in the process of getting these cheap donations, what they end up doing is they end up buying up something for, say, $1 at the charity shop and they've identified it that it's worth like, say, $50. And then they'll go and they'll sell it for $50, at full price. And they will effectively hollow out all the charity shops to the point where there's nothing good in the charity shops. The charity shops get their base payment, so to speak. But the problem is that the scalper is no longer recognizing that they got a service out of the charity shop. They're almost acting as if it didn't happen. And then they're going to mark the item up as if they are an actual individual person that paid, maybe 60 or 70% market value instead of paying 2% market value and then charging the full 100%. And they're not even decent enough to say, well, I made some money. I found a good deal for $1 and I can see it's worth 50, but because I got it for such a good deal, I'm going to sell it for 30. And then that way somebody else also makes somewhat of a deal. And those people are generally fine because although they're increasing the price still of the market value of things beyond the local area, so to speak, they are also not trying to bring it directly to the overly inflated global price market. So in some ways, they're fine. They're legitimate. They're working within their constraints, and they're still giving a little bit back every time they find something. I don't really have a problem with them because, again, the service they start to provide is a bit of a curation service. You can go to those stores and you know that they've kind of done a little bit of the hunting. They found some decent deals. And as such, you don't have to go to like 4 or 5 stores and you can find interesting things in one place. But if every item in that interesting place is at or above market value, it just feels like what they're really doing is trying to take over the market and become a monopsony where you can only sell to them, you can only buy to them, and you end up with this issue of control that they're not really they're not really providing any value. They're trying to extract it. They're not doing anything extra. Instead, they're purposefully trying to do as little extra work as possible in order to extract the most amount of wealth as possible. And not all stores are like this, but a lot of them I've noticed are, and they're getting worse. For example, you might go into a small town and there'll be like 1 or 2 stores that are selling, say, records or CDs or music or games or movies or whatever. And because they are so limited, there's not a lot of competition. They don't bother trying to necessarily increase the prices or decrease the price or like do any kind of price adjustments or sales or anything. They just sort of keep things as they are until they eventually get stagnant, and then maybe a price change or a clearance or whatever happens. But a lot of them just end up, only going up, right? Like if the price is higher, they'll raise their price. But they rarely will lower the price because they're hoping that someone doesn't know that the price is now worth less. And so they're hoping that they can just scam people for full value, regardless of whether value is present or not. And I see this time and again at stores where you go to one store and, this guy is telling you that, he doesn't make a lot of money off of this stuff, yada, 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 yada. And they're always trying to make it seem like they can't do anything for you, even though their entire business is margins, negotiations, and trades. But they'll act in that situation like, oh no, they can't do anything. They got a lot of bills to pay, as if other people don't as well, and as if it's my job to pay their bills when, because they don't want to be competitive. It's like, no, or another one I see is they'll have one store and then they'll open another store in another town, and 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 suddenly it's the one person running all the stores in all the towns. And again, there's zero competition because they're not competing with themselves. And so you can go from one town to the next and everything's just priced exactly the same because this person is essentially bought up the market, and it's not like, it's just, there's not enough competition. So in the small towns, you don't get a lot of supply, but you also don't get a lot of anything, any competitors or whatever. And they'll always say there's no demand, or that there's limited demand, or that, it's hard for them to source this stuff. But the reason it's hard for them to source this stuff is because they are the only source of this stuff now. And so for them, they don't see it coming in as like, they don't get the easy wins anymore, the gems, because they've become the only place to do business. And so now they're setting the price, and a lot of those people are just greedy, and so they'll set unrealistic prices. Like, they'll buy a game that's worth $100 at $20, and then they'll sell it at $100, right? They're not buying it. Like, I just went into a CD store here, and I showed them. I'm like, listen, how do the trades and stuff work here, right? Like, I got a CD sealed collector's set that on eBay is going for about $100, right? Like, and the first thing he says is, I doubt that. Really? Because I've identified something of value, you suddenly are going to dismiss the value. You don't think it's worth 100. So he brings it up and he's like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's actually selling above. And then he makes some, like, what do you say, like 40 or 60 bucks or something? He's like, it doesn't look like it's selling above 40 or 60 or something. And I'm like, dude, I have a sealed mint condition, like it's still sealed. It's mint condition, never been opened, doesn't have a crack, no dents, no scratches, nothing. It's mint condition. You're looking at a used, like, missing posters listing without even the slipcase, and you're saying it's like, oh, it only goes for $40. It's like, dude, right above it, $140 for what I am selling. Right there on the same screen you're looking at, and you're showing me, trying to tell me that, oh, it doesn't go for $100. $140 right there. And then he's like, oh, but that includes shipping. $40 of shipping right there. It's $100 before shipping, and then $40 of shipping. Are you not going to arbitrate the shipping? You don't think that when people walk into this place, they're price rate, and they're going, oh, he wants $100. It's $100 on eBay. I'm just going to go on eBay and pay the $140. No, that's not how it works. Like, I mean, if you're going to scalp, you can scalp at eBay prices. You could sell that thing for $100 like it's being sold on eBay, and they save $40 shipping buying it from you. Well and behold, you really want to move it, you put it at $90. Oh, look, they get a 10% savings and they save $40 in shipping. That's a $50 savings. That's a $50 savings on a $140 item, right? Like, that's a lot of savings. And then, but he's like, nah, I don't think I can move this. You don't think you can move a rare collectible CD set? Okay. Why? Because I didn't want to sell it to you for $20? $5? $2? Like, Buddy was literally like, I went in there, I'm like, so how do trades work? And he's like, well, you give me 2 and I'll give you 1. Like, no value comparison or anything, but he gets to decide whether he'll take the CDs or not, right? So, I mean, I'm already giving him 2. And then so I asked him, like, what about, like, actual collector's sets? Like, that's obviously, like, not a one-for-one trade thing. And he's like, well, it depends on price. And I'm like, well, yeah, this one, like, I got one that's worth like $100. And as soon as I say it's worth like $100, he's like, no. It's like, dude, I also checked the same website you checked. On eBay, yeah, it goes for a lot more than $100. There's listings for more than $100. But the average price is about $100. And there's not many listings that are sealed. There's like 3. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna deny that I've seen this? And he's like, oh, I guess you looked up the price. It's like, yeah, I did look up the price. I know the price of, like, everything I'm buying, right? And I also know how this business works. I know you're not paying the price. None of the stuff in that store was bought at price. Your new products aren't bought at price. Okay? You're buying them at distributor price, pre-tax, and then you get to resell them and pay tax on that. Sure. But let's be real here. You're not fooling me. And so I kind of mentioned this to him because, again, I'm like, you're not fooling me, buddy. You're like, dude. And so he literally, immediately, he just gets super rude. Like, dismissive rude. Like, that kind of like, yada yada yada, like a child would. Like, oh, I'm not listening to you, I don't hear you. And it was like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, just calm your shit down. Why are you being so rude? And then he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh, let me guess, you're gonna call me the N-word now. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Are you like mentally like all there? You're not even black. You're like East Indian or something. Like, you know, maybe a quarter of your family came out of Africa, maybe. On like 2 generations back. You're not black. Why the hell would I use a racial slur for someone you're not even? Like, how like deranged of a person do you have to be? Like, I'm like, oh, well, you know, I'm just explaining how I know how these businesses work. I know I have a couple of buddies that run shops like this, and they're like, and he suddenly starts pretending to bow to me, like, oh, I guess you're the master. And I'm like, dude, I literally gave you a fucking amazing deal on trading right here, right? Like, you're not gonna see this CD come through your little town ever again, okay? If you want to buy it, it's not in print, so you can't buy it. So what are you gonna do, huh? What are you gonna do? Stop telling me, like, stop making stuff up like I'm a bad guy because I'm calling you out on your bullshit. Just acknowledge it. Own it. You seem to own being a sociopath, so why don't you just, like, own being an idiot and a scalper and all that kind of stuff? Why don't you just own that part? Why do you have to, like, deny it? Like, what are you winning? Who are you convincing? I'm the one calling you out on it. What, you're just gonna, there's an audience watching you. You could just admit it. But you'll admit it in every way except for admit it. You'll get deranged. You'll start, like, making up irrational, delusional things. You'll try to, like, bait me into saying things that don't even make sense. Like, that's how far out this guy just went. Because I said, dude, this is a $100 CD set, brand new. Like, $50, dude. That's like, I'm giving you $50 of floor space. That's like 10 of your regular CDs, man. Like, at full price, that assuming you got donated to you, which apparently you buy these. So, no, you didn't get them donated. So, I'm giving you, like, ridiculously good amounts of money. And he's, like, gonna pass up on it. It's like, fine, I'll just put it on eBay and sell it. Like I did with the Taylor Swift album that, yeah, you know what Discogs says? If I look up that album? It also says that it didn't sell very, very high. And yet, I got a great sale. And it's not even finished bidding yet. So, don't tell me how the business works and then lie to me about how the business works. Recognize that I'm an equal in this business. So speak to me like an equal. But instead, as soon as I mention anything, he starts acting like, oh, you must know everything. I'm like, no, dude, I want to talk to you like a normal human being, like a fucking shop owner to a shop owner. And instead, you're going to just go and fucking piss your pants pretending that you don't know anything. Jesus, man. Like, it's pathetic.